On January 5, 2026, the world awoke to breaking news. The United States had launched a rapid military strike on Venezuela. Explosions rocked Caracas, targeting the presidential palace, military bases, and key infrastructure. The Pentagon called it a limited action to neutralize threats to regional stability and American interests. The White House cited intelligence of an imminent threat from the Venezuelan government. International skepticism was immediate, with many questioning the motives behind the intervention. President Maduro condemned the attack as imperialist aggression and called for resistance. Reports soon emerged of sporadic fighting between loyalist forces and opposition groups. Millions had already fled the country, and the humanitarian crisis deepened. Now the hemisphere faces profound uncertainty as the world watches for the next move. Beneath Venezuela's soil lies the world's largest proven oil reserves, over 300 billion barrels, more than Saudi Arabia. For decades, oil fueled Venezuela's economy, but mismanagement and neglect have crippled production. The U.S. once relied on Venezuela as a key supplier. That changed under Hugo Chavez, who nationalized oil assets and challenged U.S. influence. Despite the rise of renewables, oil remains essential, and Venezuela's reserves are especially attractive. For Washington, it's about more than energy. It's about power and profit. The U.S. strike on January 5th was swift and surgical, combining air power with special operations. Stealth bombers and fighter jets hit command centers, air defenses, and communications, paralyzing Venezuela's military response. The operation relied on internal collaborators, disaffected Venezuelan officers who provided intelligence and may have ensured some units stood down. U.S. intelligence agencies likely cultivated these contacts for years, enabling a near-flawless execution. Elite special forces teams were inserted ahead of the assault, tasked with securing high-value targets and protecting key infrastructure. Their real-time intelligence and coordination with opposition groups were crucial. Advanced surveillance, drones, and electronic warfare jammed Venezuelan communications, deepening confusion. The technological gap was overwhelming. Venezuela's military was outmatched from the start. The attack showcased modern, network-centric warfare, fast, precise, and devastating. The full extent of U.S. special operations remains classified, but their impact was decisive. The operation's success hinged on speed, secrecy, and superior technology. In a matter of hours, the balance of power in Caracas had shifted. The world witnessed a new model of intervention, one that may shape future conflicts. The strike on Venezuela fits a long pattern of U.S. intervention in Latin America. Guided by the Monroe Doctrine, Washington has asserted dominance in the region for 2 centuries. Control of natural resources, bananas, copper, oil, has often driven policy. When governments nationalized resources or defied U.S. interests, they faced sanctions, covert operations, or military force. Venezuela's oil wealth makes it the latest chapter in this story. The message is clear: the U.S. will act decisively to protect its interests and deter rivals. The intervention reasserts American power in its hemisphere. U.S. intervention in Venezuela could reshape global oil markets overnight. With influence over the world's largest oil reserves, the U.S. can boost supply and pressure prices downward. A friendly government in Caracas would invite American investment, reviving Venezuela's oil industry and adding millions of barrels to the market. This would weaken OPEC and Russia's grip on global energy, giving Washington new leverage. Lower oil prices would benefit U.S. consumers and businesses, but hurt exporters like Russia, Iran, and even some U.S. allies. The U.S. could steer contracts to its own companies, sidelining China and Russia. Control over Venezuela's oil means control over the value chain, from extraction to market. The U.S. could set environmental standards and direct future investments. This isn't just about oil access. It's about shaping the global energy landscape. The intervention is a bold play for economic and geopolitical advantage. The ripple effects will be felt from Wall Street to Riyadh to Beijing. The world's energy order is being rewritten in real time. The stakes could not be higher. The U.S. move in Venezuela echoes past interventions. Libya in 2011, Iraq in 2003. In Libya, Gaddafi's fall led to chaos and civil war, despite promises of liberation. In Iraq, the search for weapons of mass destruction gave way to years of violence and instability. Critics warn Venezuela could follow the same path regime change without stability, unleashing civil conflict and humanitarian disaster. The country is deeply polarized. Forced change could spark a protracted war. The lessons of Libya and Iraq are clear. Toppling a regime is only the beginning. Nation building is fraught with risk, and unintended consequences can be catastrophic. The world is watching to see if Venezuela can avoid this fate. The aftermath may prove far more complex than the invasion itself. History's warnings loom large over Caracas. The U.S. attack is a direct blow to Russia and China, who have invested billions in Venezuela. Russia's military and political alliance with Caracas provided a strategic foothold near the U.S.-China secured long-term oil deals and infrastructure projects, betting on Venezuela's vast reserves. Regime change threatens both. Outstanding loans, military contracts, and energy deals are at risk. A pro-U.S. government would likely cancel or renegotiate agreements, shutting out Moscow and Beijing. Both powers condemned the intervention, but have limited options to respond militarily. Instead, they may rally diplomatic opposition, retaliate economically, or double down on other regional allies. The intervention escalates great power competition in Latin America. Russia and China must now reassess their strategies in the Western Hemisphere. The U.S. has raised the stakes in the global contest for influence and resources. Venezuela's fate will signal how far Washington is willing to go and how its rivals will answer. The new great game is underway, with Caracas at its center. The outcome will shape global power for years to come. The U.S. intervention has sent shockwaves across Latin America. Colombia and Brazil, already hosting millions of Venezuelan refugees, brace for more instability and migration. Regional governments are split. Some back the U.S. move, others condemn it as imperialism. The crisis threatens to fracture organizations like the OAS and undermine regional cooperation. Caribbean nations, once reliant on Venezuelan oil, now face economic hardship as supplies collapse. A stable Venezuela could bring future opportunity, but only if peace is restored. The intervention forces every country to reconsider its ties to Washington. Some may draw closer to the U.S. Others may seek new alliances to counterbalance its power. The fragile consensus on security is shattered, replaced by uncertainty and tension. Latin America faces a new era, one shaped by old fears and new realities. The region's future hangs in the balance. The U.S. strike has redrawn the map of the Americas. Venezuela's future is uncertain. Will it see a peaceful transition or spiral into chaos and civil war? A stable, democratic government could rebuild the nation and restore hope, but only with broad international support and internal compromise. The risk of prolonged conflict and humanitarian disaster is real. For the U.S., this is a high-stakes gamble. Success could mean energy security and renewed influence. Failure could mean another costly quagmire. The world is watching as Venezuela stands at a crossroads. The intervention challenges the principles of sovereignty and non-intervention. Latin America may once again become a battleground for global powers. The legacy of this moment will be measured by whether it brings peace and prosperity, or deepens the cycle of conflict over oil. The next chapter is unwritten, and its consequences will echo for generations.